Hello, it is now time for the next step in our 2022 planning, and I want everyone to have the perfect service binder. In the past, we've mostly focused on the properties that have the required services. So when TDHCA comes out and does the inspection, the service binders are in place. But live and learn, and we've decided that every single property needs to have a service binder. But of course, since every single property has very different requirements, there are going to be basically three types of service binders that we're going to have set up. Now, I want everyone to watch this entire video because while I set up each binder how I wanted it to look for your requirements, whether you're quarterly, you have the TDHCA LURA services, or whether you're a bond property and you have TSHEC and TDHCA. While that is specific to what your requirements are, the way I set it up there are some differences that you can choose what is best for you. And as we get into the video, I think you'll understand that more. So we're going to start with, we're going to kind of go easiest to hardest. So we're going to start with those of you who have quarterly services. Quarterly services, obviously, you are not going to need a huge binder because you're doing 4 services a year. And I know many of you who only have to do quarterly services, you do way more than that, and that's awesome. But even doing more, your documentation is not going to be a ton of stuff. So you would just need a 1-inch, probably even a 1/2-inch binder would work. This is just one I had in the office, so I added on to it for that. So if you have a quarterly service, it would help if I opened it the right way. Obviously, we would like to have a cover page, telling that this is your resident services binder. If you have the clear pocket on top, have it on top. But if not, if you have it in a folder that doesn't have the pocket, you need to have something here that says resident services and introduces what this binder is. Now, on this example, all I've done is I've printed off the papers and I've used these re-stickable, reusable tabs. They're super handy. You can get like 500 on Amazon for like $5. So then the next page will be, it'll just say quarterly services. And you will put your most recent service on top. So you'll have the sign-in page, and right behind it, you have the flyer. And then when you turn the page, you will get to the previous quarter services. And there's the sign-in sheet for that. And there is the flyer. Now, I just used some of the random services that people faxed me last week. So don't pay like super attention to what the actual flyer says because I just threw them in as examples so I didn't waste paper. So for the quarterly services, you will just have every single service in here with the sign-in sheet, then the flyer. If you printed off the pictures, have the pictures behind the flyer, but a lot of you just send those digitally, and then I just hold on to those until we may need those. And then in your next tab, you're going to have your newsletters. So the newsletters that I send out every month, some of you just get the generic one, while others do get the property specific ones. So you'll have the newsletters and like it just put the most current month on top. And then those will be there. And then your next tab will be calendars. If you make a calendar for your property, this is where you'll put it. There's the most recent calendar. Now, if I make yours, and you have like the newsletter on one side and the calendar on the other, you can combine these two tabs. You could have one tab that says calendars / newsletters, and they can be together, because the people that get property specific ones, like the front will be the newsletter and the back will be the calendar. So if you do that, the calendars and newsletter tab can be combined. But if you have them separate, they can be separate. That is not like a deal breaker. And then this is new. We have not done this in the past, but thanks to your hard work, the very back is going to have your service plan. Okay, so here's a service plan that someone sent in with their plan for when they're going to do their quarterly services. Now, this is important for many reasons. One, if something happens and you get sick, or you have to have surgery, or you're out for whatever reason, whoever's coming in to cover for you, whether it's another manager or a supervisor or maintenance, if you have this coming up, they can look at this. It's kind of like when teachers are out and they get a substitute teacher. Like someone could come in and see what the plan is and kind of get an idea of what's going on your property for services. And then this is just personal stuff for something else in this binder. So for quarterly services, you need your cover sheet with your property, your quarterly services, and then newsletters, calendars, service plan. And I can and will make these for y'all in color if you want. All you have to do is ask. So there is that. So if you have quarterly services, this is how you can set up your binder. Now, for those of you who have the LURA services for TDHCA, here's another way to set up your binder. So this binder example has the clear cover. So here's the cover page. And you're going to start with your LURA required services. And I want the first thing to be a copy of your LURA. If you don't want to print out the whole thing, because they're like 20 plus pages usually, I want you to at least have the pages that have the services on it. So that way, anyone can open it and see what is required on your property and what should be in this binder. So I want that to be the first page. Now, this is a much more basic type divider. I know a lot of you have these dividers that are by month. We do not do it by month. So if you have those, you can use them, but do not pay attention to what they say. Just use them solely for a divider. You do not have to have the cute little thing that I make or you make. You can just have it written out. So this tab is not January, it's financial planning. So all of your financial planning sign-in sheets and information will go behind that tab. So it starts with the sign-in sheet. And then on the second page is the flyer talking about it. And again, these are just random services that I'm using as examples. And then also behind the flyer is some of the information that was passed out at that service. And so that we also want to have in the binder. And if there were pictures that were printed out, we would have them behind that. Okay. And then this property has more than one required service. So this next tab is their next service, weekly home chores. And then you turn the tab and there's the sign-in sheet. And notice the great example, it was canceled, initials of the manager. but they still have a sign-in sheet, even though it was canceled. They have the flyer and the information from the service, even though it was canceled. They still have documentation that they did the service. Okay, next tab, the next service. Most current sign-in sheet, and then the flyer. Second most current sign-in sheet, and then the flyer. Okay, so you just stack that most recent month on top. Okay, this property has lots of services. There's the next one, sign-in sheet. Okay, and then this is a little different example of how you can use these pre-made dividers with the cute things that I make. There are some of y'all who go above and beyond and do services on your property that are not required. So we want to have a tab for that to show off your hard work. And so this next tab is going to be additional services. So if you do like some huge fall festival that doesn't fit into your LURA required activities, that is where you'll put that information. Like here's the flyer for that. And then again, you'll have the newsletters. You turn the tab, there's the most recent newsletter. You'll have your calendars. There's the calendar. And this is a good example. I make Northgate's calendars and newsletters. So when they get them, this is on the front and then this is on the back. But when she scans it in, she, it comes out from the two-sided to one-sided. And so that's why it's separated like that. And also the service plan. So very important. And those of you that have the LURAs, you have a little more detailed service plan from the quarterly services. So here it is. So if someone comes in and has to cover your property, or there's a change in managers throughout the year, they can see the plan that's kind of been set in place and they can help use it as a guide. And those of you with LURA services, you also had this to do where you wrote out what the service was and who your partner is. And I want that in the back too, because it's also a very helpful guide if someone was covering for you or if there was a change in management during the year. So that is the second example of what a service binder can look like with the LURA required services. And again, if you want me to make these for you, all you have to do is ask. And that brings us to our most in-depth binder. Those of you who have who are a bond property where you are reporting to TSHAC and TDHCA, you are going to need a very big binder because you have a ton of services. I did not put everything in here because I didn't want to totally make the entire thing. I apologize for that. You got the cover sheet. And for the bond one, I made my own dividers using the clear sheet protectors, and then again those reusable sticky binder dividers, because you just have so much that if you bought the nice dividers in a 5-pack, you'd have to buy like 5 packs, and they're really not cheap. So it's actually much cheaper for you to do it like this. But again, you can set it up using whichever method you have. So for the bond binders, you are going to have part one, which is going to be your TDHCA services. You know, I have here 8 points required to help remind you. I actually did not put it in here. But the first one is supposed to be your LURA. You were going to put a copy of your LURA right after this page. I apologize that I didn't print that one off. And on the TDHCA services, I made the title and then exactly what TDHCA says they want to see for this service, just so you have it kind of on one page at a glance what that service is supposed to look like. For example, this one, we needed a signed partnership. So on the first tab, I want the signed copy of the partnership in here so TDHCA can see that right away. And then behind it is where you will have your sign-in sheet and flyer. Okay, next service, sign-in sheet, flyer. I did not put all of the 8 points in here, but I do have them made. For y'all, if you want me to make them for you, or if you're going to make your own. But I just didn't want to make copies and put it all together. I wanted to get the video done rather than the binders. And so you'll have your TDHCA first, and then the part two is your TSHAC services. First, you're going to put the TSHAC plan that we had to submit in August, which is uploaded to Redbook, and I emailed to all of you. But they will be first. So there is your service plan. Again, if someone has to come in and cover for you, they can see what we've promised TSHAC we're going to try to do for the year. And then it goes into the services. Now with TSHAC, because you have to have 4 months, there could be a lot of different services. And I made all of the options so that you can have all of them in here. And whichever ones you use, that's where you'll stick the sign-in sheets. But again, I didn't get them all in the binder for the video. But it has the cover sheet, sign-in sheet, flyer. And you'll have all of those services. And then again, we have the newsletters. At the very back, there's a copy of the newsletter, calendar. There's a copy of the calendar. Monthly service log. I know a lot of you really like keeping track of this for your personal benefit. So if you do like that, I will make it for you. And then that's where you can keep the service log that I make. Y'all do for your cover sheet every month. If you want to keep track of those, that's where those would go. And then just like the other ones, the service plan and partners will go in the back for if anyone needs to come in and cover your property for you, they can kind of see what you've lined out. And then I put the service plan that y'all just finished that has all the TDHCA services at the top and the TSHAC services at the bottom. Okay, so I mean, just even the example alone is quite a bit of paper. So I'm sure you can imagine how much as the year goes on, how big these will get. And then we keep a year's worth of services in the binder. So after you've been doing services a year, you'll put in, you know, January 2023 on top, and then you'll take out the January 2022 on the bottom and keep them in a box. So I know this was kind of long, but I really hope that it helped clear up some questions. And like I said, I will make these for you. You just have to ask me to send them. If you want to buy anything for your binder, use petty cash or get with your supervisor about making an order like from the business center or Amazon for materials like that. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help and have a great day. Thank you.